The Fuji X-A1. This is the fourth model to come out of the Fuji's X series of compact system cameras. So let's dive right into it. Now, some people may be confused because the Fuji X-A1 and the X-M1 look exactly the same. Build quality, material, all of that is the same. The only difference is the fact that the Fuji X-A1 uses the more traditional standard Bayer pattern filter over the sensor instead of Fuji's, amazing new APS-C X-Trans CMOS sensor. You can find that in the Fuji X Pro 1 or the X-E1 and the X-M1. So the X-A1 has the standard APS-C CMOS sensor, which is fine. I mean, people have been using these sensors for years. You're only really going to notice it if you're really, really looking for it. If you're a pro photographer or enthusiast who's going to be digging into those files, zooming in at 100%, and really trying to go after that. And as you can see here, I'm just going through some of the different functions, showing you what it looks like, how the camera responds, what some of the, dials and wheels look like. Right there, you can see the 49 autofocus points, which are pretty good. Macro mode in there, I thought it was pretty cool. White balance can be changed right in the menu, which is great. And all the changes that you make while you're using it with that great 921,000 dot screen that's articulating as well, you see them appear on the screen as you're making the changes. So I think that's helpful, especially to people who don't necessarily know what all the different options mean. There's also that Q button that they've put in the X series, which is great. It allows you to change things on the go and get to about 16 different options. That is really helpful. This camera displays a lot of information, more information than my DSLR gives me, when I'm looking at the screen. So I thought that was pretty interesting. You can, as you can see, you can have the histogram right down there. So kudos to Fuji for putting so much into this camera. They could have skimped on it and they didn't. They made it the same as the M1 besides the sensor. So that's great. Towards the top here, you can see the dial again. There's also the function button, which is by default set to ISO, but you can change it to whatever you want. At the bottom here, there's the tripod mount, which is a little off center, so it's a little weird for panoramic shots and whatnot. But there's your battery. Pretty good on battery life. The SD card also goes in there. Expect to get about 600 to 700 shots out of it, so that's pretty decent, especially for a camera that's this small. So this camera comes with Fuji's f3.5 to 5.6 16 to 50 millimeter lens. It's a kit lens. It's all plastic and whatnot, but it has a pretty solid feel to it. There's a manual focus ring, manual zoom, so that's great. Besides that, the images that come out of it are pretty sharp. For a kit lens, it's probably one of the best kit lenses you're ever gonna get on any camera. So instead of going the extremely technical route, I wanted to give you guys a basic overview of the camera and some everyday usage. A lot of the people that this camera is aimed at are not, going to be professionals that want all those details. You can read that in a review somewhere. I thought this camera was great. My biggest gripe with it is what you're seeing right here. That sub control wheel on the camera on the thumb grip is horrible. It only works when it wants to work. So when you're in aperture priority mode, which is important to someone who wants to do like street photography or travel and whatnot, that is going to slow you down a lot. This thing, it only works when it wants to. You can see me trying to turn it, trying to get it to move, and it only does it every once in a while. So I don't know if it's something with just my model, but I really did not like that design aspect. It's probably the reason I'm going to be returning this camera. Here I'm just going to show you some examples of images I took. I just went right outside using the auto modes or some of the smart modes and snapped some pictures. You can see that these images are pretty sharp. I was just walking around with my wife taking photos before a baseball game and just snapped a few pictures. The camera's small, it's discreet, So it didn't draw too much attention, and it did what I needed it to do. The sensor's great, and this is where this camera shines right now. As you can see, we're at ISO 3200, and this camera absolutely blows the competition away in terms of low light performance. It's great. I mean, it's reaching DSLR levels. I found that images up to 32 and even 6400 ISO could still be used, and with a tiny bit of noise resolution applied in post-processing, you are just gonna, have so many more photos that you can use, so many more photos that aren't destroyed by grain or noise, if that's something that you don't want in your images. So I thought that was great. Here's another image here. I made it black and white and applied a few different things to it, but you can see it's razor sharp, and it's not like I stood there for a while and was planning out this shot. This was oh, I see something, quick, let me get it thing. And that's what's great about this camera. It's fast, the autofocus is fast, the screen is great. The articulating screen helps you to catch different angles and whatnot and get a different feel for things. Great for high and low angle shots. It's not fully articulating, so it's not going to be great for selfies and all those other things, but besides that, it's a strong camera. I mean, I have to find someone else who has this camera and see if they have that same problem with that sub command dial, because that is the main reason. If I did not have issues with that dial, besides that and the fact that the video recording on this thing is pretty abysmal, I mean, I didn't even want to waste time putting it in the review, because you can see anywhere, even if you look in examples, the video on this thing is not that great. Besides that, it's a strong camera. I think anyone who is interested in getting into the compact system, or they're not ready to move to a DSLR, but they want something better than their point and shoot or their iPhone, they're really going to love this camera. You can't beat it for the price. I mean, on Amazon right now, you can get one used or refurbished for between $350 and $400. So it's pretty good. So now we're just heading over to the website. I liked one of the pictures that I got out of the Fuji so much that I added it to my online portfolio. So I just wanted to tell you guys, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button for me or subscribe. Stay tuned for more camera reviews, and thank you so much for tuning in.